Hello, everyone. My name is Monica Gleiberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast.
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm gonna start off with the first question. So obviously, watch the movie. It's a big departure for you, Brian, in particular, because I've seen a lot of your work.
Okay.
I was curious to find out from both of you what causes him to snap. Is it a combination of everything that's going on in his life, the pandemic, the family situation, the students, or do you look at one particular moment? So as an actor, did you look at one particular moment to be like, this is where he turns? And then as a director, did you look at one particular moment?
I don't think there was one particular moment for me. I think honestly it was just the combination of things. And then I think ultimately just being left alone, being left to his own devices and not having anyone there loving him and helping him through everything. I think he just spiraled out of control, being left alone. I think all of it together. I think the divorce, his daughter, teaching on Zoom, and then he started drinking and it all sort of combined and made him who he was by the end, which was unfortunate because I think a lot of people have the ability to go there mentally. He just didn't have anyone to keep him from going there physically, which is the boundary. We've all been in our car stuck in traffic and been like, man, I just want to kill this guy who's driving in front of me. But you don't actually do it. But John got to the point where he was like, I will, I will kill the person in front of me, and nobody's telling me that I shouldn't. So why not?
And then Nick, how did you feel like in terms of directing it? Was there like a certain moment that you really wanted to press on to show that he turns in it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the tipping point for me was when he was overhearing the Zoom calls and made that decision to show up at the school, obviously with real guns on top of the paintball gun. But like Brian said, it was kind of everything that built up over time. Him losing his family and not being able to see his kid and COVID and all the pressures of just life, period. So,
and then I wanted to also ask, it's kind of related for both of you. There's so many layers in this film too. Like, it's not just like, oh, he just suddenly snapped. There's COVID, the pandemic, what it feels like to be alone, what it feels like to be away from your kids, like just like so many things, mental health issues, right? Not being able to seek help, like all of these various things.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we wanted to show that, him being a teacher as well, like, teachers are people that we look up to and kids look up to. So I wanted to show that, everybody was, could lose it at any point in time, especially during a time period like COVID when, the world hasn't really been through that before. Everything's shut down. So having everything shut down and Brian's character, like, really shutting down to the point where he didn't have like family support, friend support, things like that. And then also feeling like he's lost everything in his world, his child and his wife and stuff. So I think, we wanted to show how fragile that is when it comes to mental stability.
I think for me, reading the script and just kind of working on it as an actor, one of the methods that I use the most is I really try and figure out why things are happening in a scene, why somebody is saying certain things, why somebody is responding a certain way. And the script was really well laid out, where once I really started doing that work and I started figuring out, like really reading and trying to figure out what was going on, it all just made sense. Like there were just all these little moments and these little things you would hear and these little things you would see that just kind of were triggers in one way or another. And then hearing the kids on the Zoom call and all of that was just kind of the final straw for him. Of just feeling like it's time to move forward in life. And the only way I'm going to do that is to end up with this student that I think loves me as much as as I love her. And so he goes to the school to accomplish that. And then when it gets to the end of it all and realizes that it was all in his head. It was just something that he thought was going on and nothing she was serious about. And the realization of that, you know, that scene that he has, where he's talking on the phone, he sees his daughter, and he's sitting in the front office of the school, is really, for him, I really had the sense of the reality of it all hitting him, and realizing that there's no going back now at this point, and thinking that she had escaped. This was kind of the last call to his daughter and his ex-wife, and just to the world, just the chance for him to say, I love you, and you know, don't ever forget that, and make sure that no matter what, you tell my daughter that she always knows how much I love her. So it was all these little pieces that really added up to what the story became, and Nick had a lot to do with that, and Tom, the writer, had a lot to do with that. And then sometimes things would happen, and it was like, oh, let's just go with that. That just felt right in the moment. So you kind of build on that experience.
All right. So my question is for both of you. What was it like filming during the pandemic?
I was going to ask because you were so quiet.
I had to mute myself. Come on.
I was going to ask when you were going to.
I'm the big mouth one, so.
No, we both are. We both are. Girl.
Yeah, we both do have big mouths, but I always start
so
off.
You
first.
just made a conscious choice of just being the quiet one down.
I did. Okay, so what was it like filming?
Sorry, what's your question?
What
He doesn't want to know,
filming?
Mariana. He doesn't want to know your question. Stop it. He doesn't.
No, I do. I totally.
Yes, he does.
Go ahead.
All right. So what was it like filming during the pandemic? And, you know, this is like for both of you, like as an actor, what was it like filming? And then as a director, what was it like filming?
Yeah, it was, I mean, the COVID protocols for being on set are insane. I mean, we were getting tested every couple days. We really had to limit the amount of people that were on set. But then also shooting this was just strange in itself. I mean, we shot, was it 3 weeks at the school? 2 weeks? I don't even remember.
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks, nights. So we would shoot from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I'm not a night owl anymore. I'm 48 and I know it. So I'm usually in bed by like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Just to like really paint the picture for you, on New Year's, I celebrate the ball dropping in New York on television. That is my name. Yeah, 9 o'clock here. I'm like, hey, Happy New Year. Okay, good night, everyone. So shooting during COVID was a little strange, but the schedule that we shot is what really made it strange. I mean, to be in a location as big as a school that was empty. It was completely shut down. They weren't having any classes. There was nothing going on when we were there. So we could shoot, leave the stuff that we had set up overnight, and get there the next night and continue to shoot. Like, we didn't have to tear anything down or prepare the hallways for the class, the kids to come the next morning. And then it was dead silent. I mean, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., there's no cars on the street. There's no planes in the sky. There's no helicopters. There's no anything. So it was completely quiet in the hallways, which honestly became fun for me, because it was like I could make the smallest little noise and people would react to it. So then it started becoming a game for me of like, oh man, I can really mess with people, like, in really simple ways. Yeah. So it lent a lot to what we were shooting, and really on a crazy level made it fun.
I mean, for me, it was kind of bittersweet because we were in the middle of COVID. So everything was kind of shut down everywhere, and, you know, people weren't getting together like they normally do, and school was out and shut down everything. So, you know, the hours were really rough, like you said, you know, shooting all night long, and then obviously COVID testing every couple of days. And we were worried about if somebody pops up with COVID.
That 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shit is no fucking joke, man.
Yeah, it was tough.
Like, because I would get back to the hotel afterwards, and I knew, like, okay, I need to get some sleep before work tomorrow night, and I just couldn't get my brain to do it. So I would end up wandering around Sacramento, which was half closed because of COVID. So I was just wandering the streets. Like, you know, I'd go from Starbucks to Starbucks to Starbucks just because there wasn't much to do.
Yeah. But at the same time, for me, I felt like it was kind of cool because we actually got, when you make a film, you kind of become like family with everybody. So
Yeah.
I actually got to have some good times and, be with the same team pretty much every day and hang out and have lunch, dinner, breakfast, everything all together, So it beats sitting at home staring at a monitor watching some high school kids, right?
Was it more
Yeah.
intimate to film during COVID?
I don't know if COVID made it more intimate than just the schedule and what we were shooting did. I mean, I think that, for me at least, that's what lent the most to really feeling like a family when we were there. It was so insane. Everyone's going delirious, but together. So it was like we were all kind of sharing in the craziness of shooting something like that, which I think lent itself to what we were doing. Nick would have crazy ideas because we were all like sleep deprived, and it was just surreal being in school hallways, by ourselves.
Totally. Yeah. It's the only time I drink coffee. I don't even drink coffee on a daily, but I did during.
It was weird though. I noticed because I'm not used to working an entire night like that consecutively until the sun comes up. Like every once in a while, you would do a night shoot on something. You would think like, oh, just drink coffee to stay up all night. But you start finding yourself really timing it out. Like, oh, it's 2. Okay, I'll go drink a coffee now because that will take me to 4:30 without having like a crazy crash. Like you start planning out what you're going to do to keep yourself alive for that 12-hour period, because you have to. You can't just go in and go, hey, I'm just going to drink some coffee now, because then all of a sudden you're crashing at like 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh man, it's only 11:30. Like, there's no way I'm going to get through the rest of the night. So you would have to start pacing out what you were doing.
Well, I understand that because I'm 35, going to be 36. So like we're close in age. Close. I knew he was going to say that. He's going to say, oh, I'm older.
My birthday's coming up next Friday. I'm going to be 49, so I'm 1 year away from 50. So you can't.
Listen, I'm turning.
I'm not going to accept you trying to.
Okay, well, I'm turning 36 in December, which is kind of like 40, almost 40.
Happy birthday.
Take it. Well, you don't look that age, so it doesn't matter. It's all how you look, right? So
thank you.
But I was gonna say, did you guys? All right, so that schedule for me would be insane because I'm like you too. I'm like I'm a New Yorker. I live in New York, so the ball drops, and I'm like, yeah, cool. It's on TV. Like, I'm like the same. I go to bed early. I'm working like crazy hours. So did you start getting like slap happy and then trying to have to refocus and go, wait a minute, this is so far from my character. Hold on a second. And kind of put yourself back in.
Yeah. We would have like giggling fits at points, and we were going mad. 3 weeks of nothing but nights. And then you would have a weekend off, but it wasn't really a weekend off because you wouldn't get home until Saturday morning at 6. And then you would have to try and go to bed at some strange time on Sunday night to get there. Then for Monday night it was so weird. So it wasn't, I went delirious for sure. I don't know about Nick, because Nick was on set most of the time, setting everything up. So
yeah, I don't think I slept very much at all during that period. Maybe a couple hours here and there. Came back. I timed out my coffee. It was like 10 p.m. right when Dutch Bros was about to close, and then another coffee like 3 a.m. So I used to send like PAs to Dutch Bros like right before they closed at 10. And be like, get me a coffee like immediately right before they close.
You guys should literally have them sponsor. You should tag them in all of your interviews so that they give you guys some money to sponsor you.
Yeah, I like your idea. I like where your head's at.
Yeah. I'll tag it. I know you're not big on social, Brian, because every time I watch your Instagram, you're always so cute. You're like, sorry, I haven't been on for a while. Hi, everyone. And I'll tag you. And
get an idea what I'm doing. And Sharn is so good at social media. Like she posts tons of content, and she's got all these companies that she works with, and she's really good at it. And I'm like,
no, but your videos are good though. Like
I don't understand the difference between a story and none of it makes any sense. Reels and stories, and I know everything's crossing over into reels now, and I'm like, why? But from what I've heard, they last longer than stories, right? Those are only 24 hours.
She'll teach you. No, but you do a good job because I have seen you come on and like you'll say, like, you know, I haven't been on in a while, and you're always so cute and you're like sitting and talking, giving updates. But my favorite obviously is when Shauna tapes you without you knowing, because like then your reaction is one of my favorite.
She does it all
time.
the time.
He gets so mad, like you can see where he's either like pissed or he's like, I'm trying to not look like I'm pissed off that you're taking my video right now without me looking. And that brings me so much joy when she catches you doing stuff like that.
It's like we'll be driving in the car and I'll look over at her and she's holding the camera up and it's like, motherfucker, you're filming right now, aren't you?
Oh,
and then she just posts them. Like she doesn't show me back and go, hey, how do you feel about this one? It's like, you know, sent. Like it's,
but you know what?
Everybody gets
But
to
it's
see it.
good though, because you're not that active on there and people love you. So like when I read the comments, everybody's asking about you. Like everybody will say, how's he doing? What's he doing? What's his latest project? So I mean, it's not bad that she's filming you.
No,
like,
it's not. It's not bad at all. It's just, it's completely out of the norm for me.
Yeah, we love your new stroller, man.
Do you? Yeah. Good. Oh, she posted that. We were on a walk today. Yeah. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you like it, Nick.
Yeah, this is how we get Brian updates. You know, you don't even have to text him. Just go on there. We can see all
just
the
follow
video,
Shauna.
everything going on.
It'll all be there.
So I wanted to ask you also, you know, obviously because this role is so, I don't want to say it's so different for you, because I feel like an actor, you know, there's like ranges in them, and I've seen a ton of your work that you've done in the past. But for you, what drew you specifically to this character? Because it's so dark. And I think sometimes it can be hard to find a redeeming quality or a way for you to rationalize that
Right.
this guy is a normal person, like because he doesn't think he's crazy. So
Right.
how do you process that on your end?
That's a big thing for me, just in characters in general. I don't like when I watch films or television and somebody is playing an evil character that is just like mustache twirling like a bad guy. Like I always like people that have an absolute reason for what it is they do that they 100% believe in. You may watch it and go, that person's insane, but there still has to be that quality where you get it, where you know you don't necessarily agree with it, but you understand why they're doing it. This project was cool for me because it's not very often that characters or directors would come around that were really open to just allowing me to do something outside of the clean cut, you know, good looking guy at this or that thing, or, you know, the doorman or the best friend, or so it was nice to have somebody like Nick that really just gave me complete freedom to do it. It was hard because I've had Sharna's just been, she's so good at social media. So she's checking my Instagram page, and she was looking at my audience on it, which is, I think it's like almost 90%. So it's like, okay, well, that's okay. So there's my audience then, you know, it's all,
that's us.
Well, so what's funny is it's normally 70 to 90-year-old women. So it's nice that it's that there are some younger ones also. Thank you for that.
Oh my God. Every single person I know follows you. And I consider myself old, but you don't. So I'll take it as a compliment. But there's 20-year-olds. With the Beverly Hills rerun, all those sorts of stuff. Right. I mean, you have like a full crazy range of people. So I mean, but that's interesting that there was initially older.
Yeah. So I heard that from her, and then I was like, well, man, this movie's not going to do very well for that then, because if that's the audience, they're not going to want to see me with a fucking beard killing people in a school. Like that's straying pretty outside of what my audience is I'm sure geared up for. But it was really fun for me as an actor to have somebody like Nick just completely trust what I was doing. And I think it worked out really well in the end. I mean, I think it was good for the kids that were in the film. It was good for everybody involved. And it was really, we were all sort of navigating territory that was unknown. And we had to have complete trust in each other when we were doing it. And we did have trust, and I think it paid off. I mean, it felt very safe there on that set to be doing what I was doing. And now I'm looking forward to, Nick and I are working on other stuff, and I'm looking forward to doing other characters that aren't as extreme as this guy, but are still characters that are outside of what people are used to seeing. Yeah, I'm growing a mustache now for this next thing. I don't want to say exactly what it is, but so I hope my audience likes mustaches.
Well, I was gonna say,
that's
really
the moral of that story. I like what Nick and I are doing. It's fun. It's fun because I've been acting for so long. So it's really fun to be working with somebody that is just completely gung-ho and allowing me to do what I do, and trust that as an actor, I'm not going to be too crazy. And if I am, then he can rein me in, and he's good at it. He's a kind person. So I don't take offense to him going, yeah, it doesn't really.
I want to push Brian too. I want to push his characters out there a little bit more, like the biggest thing on this movie that most people said was, that when they watched it, they forgot he was David Silver in 90210. And that means we did our job, right? And he did his job, especially. So, I want to push Brian in more films coming up in different characters. So when you watch the film, you actually get really caught up in the character, and you're not looking and going, hey, it's just Brian Austin Green from 90210, right? So, and really just pushing the envelope with him as an actor, because I really feel like him crossing into like film heavily, I think he has what it takes to really, be a leading actor in multiple films, and not, a lot of people look at him as like a television actor. And so I think that Brian is completely ready for like taking on some major roles.
When I was watching it, I did not see David Silver. I also haven't seen him for a long time because I've seen like a lot of your films, and I do think that has kind of gone away. But I was watching it with someone, just to kind of like back up what Nick said, and this is a testament to both of you. I was watching it with someone that is like 20. She's watched reruns, right? The whole thing. So she heard your name, right? That's the auto pull in to watch the movie. We're watching it and we're like halfway through, and she's like, so who's that one that's playing the guy, the teacher? And I go, that's who you were just talking about. You were just saying you wanted to see Brian Austin Green. He was the one that played David Silver. You were just talking about that. No clue that was you. And she was like, no way. And she was like freaking out. And she was like, you like the mannerisms, the look, the walking, the way you talked, like just everything that you did, and all the little nuances. Nick, all the stuff that you threw in there, the silent moments, like the way you shot it, where you could hear him and it's like in darkness. I don't know what it was. It was a mix of all of that. No freaking clue. She had no clue who, like, and she was actually laughing because she was like, I was just binging it like the other day. I'm like, well, I was like, there you go. Like, I was like, he's just gone in it. And I was like, now check out the Connors, now check out. And I started like listing other things, and I'm like, go watch all these other things. But yeah, so you completely disappeared. So you guys did it.
Yay. Right on. Beautiful.
Anything about the character, this kind of could go for both of you guys. Anything about the character that you could relate to?
I feel like everybody can relate to the character, right?
I can relate to all of them. I think it's easy when you're going through difficult situations to not make the responsible, loving choice, and instead to just sit back and just be pissed at the world for what's going on. I think anybody can do that. I definitely don't think they should, but there's nothing outside of killing people, I guess, that was really shocking to me about this guy. I mean, if you mix those ingredients, being solitary, just alone, not having friends or family around you, alcohol, divorce, the loss of a child being around, and all of those ingredients, I think, can make for a very toxic situation for anyone. I think the biggest difference between people is how they deal with those. I always say that the only control that I feel I have in life is who I choose to be while living life, because there's tons of things that happen. There are tons of highs and tons of lows, and you go through all gamut of experiences, but who do you choose to be while going through all of that? Do you want to let things really affect you? And do you want to, just sit around and complain about them and be upset and or feel guilty, or all of these emotions that are really just wasting so much time, compared to going through something and going, man, okay, well, that sucks. So what is there? I've got to find the positive in that somehow. What choice do I have? I'm not going to wallow in the negativity of it and how sad I feel, because I'm not going to accomplish anything.
What about, did anything resonate more with the addition, you know, of the new kid?
I mean, Sharna wasn't even pregnant at that point. I think my kids just in general, along the lines of that, of what I was just talking about, in really choosing to be the person that I want to be through it all. That phone call scene, I really had my kids in mind, because, you know, I ultimately, the only thing that I'm going to leave at the point when I walk off this earth is the legacy of who I was to them and the people around me. You know, not this stuff. It's like, oh, it's cool. People can go back and watch The Connors or this film, or, you know, 90210 or Sarah Connor Chronicles or all that kind of stuff. But that's not really the important thing. I mean, to think of my kids talking to their kids about their grandfather and what a cool guy he was and what he accomplished in life and what he did and what he meant to the people around him, that holds so much more weight than the projects and the things that I do. I don't really work for that reason anymore. I'm lucky enough I enjoy what I do, but I just want to work to create the opportunity for more work. I just want to be able to do this for the rest of my life if I can, just to continue to make money, to spend time with my family, spend time with Sharna and the kids, and really enjoy ourselves. Because I'm not going to die with any of it. You know, I'm not going to get to take it with me. So I would rather enjoy it now and have all the experiences that I can make with my family the best they can be.
Live the little moments. That's it.
Yes.
Every day.
The little moments. Those are the important ones. It's not about the quantity of time. It's the quality of it.
Exactly.
And I find that interesting because and maybe it was subconscious, and it also, Nick, like, you know, it could have been you, I don't know, like, and I could ask you about that scene, but in particular, you feel bad for him in the beginning, but after kind of things start unrolling, the only real scene after that you're like, is when he calls his kids. So he's calling his kids with the idea of, I don't want my legacy to be what you're going to hear about me, right? Because you're clearly going to hear stuff after this whole thing happens. Yeah. So for you, just talking now, just as a dad, you don't want your legacy to be like, oh yeah, I did these movies and this is my name and people knew who I was. I want my legacy is I was a great dad, and that's what I want people to remember me for. So do you think, like, subconsciously, when you were making that phone call in that scene, it comes off so genuine and so heartfelt, and you can tell he's like holding it in, and that, you know, it's clear that he's not all lost it. You know, he wants to talk to them and he wants to make sure that she knows that he loves her, that maybe you guys parallel in that way.
Maybe. I mean, I honestly, I was going through tons emotionally when we were shooting that. So that absolutely could have played a part in it. I mean, I think in just trying to remove myself as much as possible and think about that situation through the character's eyes. I don't think he wanted the last time that he spoke to his daughter to be when he saw his ex in the parking lot and she was in the back of the car. You know, I think he had done all of everything he had done at the school. And then he thought that Sadie had gotten away and he's just left with himself at that point. And it was sort of I felt like it was kind of the unraveling and the final breath and letdown of a crazy fucking night. I mean, it's gotta be crazy to fall so far off the cliff that you end up doing what this man did. You know, like chasing these kids around a campus and killing them. That's a real, to really put yourself there, that's an unbelievable experience. So it's got to be like, you know, an athlete or an entertainer in any way. you do something amazing, and then you get to the end of it and you're just left by yourself again. You're like, I can't believe that I just went through that. So to then call and see his daughter again, I think was that drawback to reality for him of like, oh man, I don't ever want anything terrible to happen to this little girl. I love her with every bit of who I am. And so there was that glimpse of that, and then of course, once he heard Sadie, then he, I think, snapped back into his own narcissistic, selfish behavior, and, ended up on the football field with that scene. I'm sure there was a lot of myself that I used in that scene, but I don't think consciously. I don't think it was like, I'm going to draw on this. That's really going to help me in this moment. I think it just naturally did. I don't know how to block all of that out, block yourself out completely when you're on set doing stuff. I mean, I think it's still something I'm learning. I mean, I've been doing this for a long fucking time, and I feel like I'm still just barely learning what it is I'm doing. And I'm experiencing new things, and I'm going, hey, that really worked. And then you do some stuff and you go, that didn't work. But it's, you gotta try things to see what works.
When you guys watched that scene and he called his daughter, did you feel for him? Like, did you really feel for him?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you too. Like, yes. So when the movie starts, I totally felt for him, and I can relate and understand it. And then when, I get the intent of what happens in the school. I don't understand it as a person, right? Like, that's not something I do. Right, yeah. But I understand, right. But I understand the intent of the reason behind it.
Right.
But I thought it was such an interesting choice for you, Nick, in particular, to then, as all this action is going on, to momentarily pause, right? Because you could just keep going and make it really crazy and extend it and really go over the top. And it wasn't over the top, which I think is what made it great. But to pause in that second. And so literally you've seen him kill all these people. And then you chose to have him pause in that moment on that and call and make that phone call. And I went from, this guy's like fucking crazy, to like, oh my God, like I feel terrible. Oh my God. And my whole body just shifted that whole phone call. And then you literally like smacked me in the face, because then like 2 seconds later, he's back, doing something else crazy, and you see police start arriving and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I thought it was a very interesting choice to like have that scene where you placed it, I guess, like at the point that you placed it at. But it did literally, I mean, like I flipped in a second. But I was curious why you chose that particular moment in the film to do that.
I feel like that moment was really like a test for not only the audience, but for Brian as an actor, So, I've heard this so many times from people that watched this movie too, that said, I really felt for him when he was talking to his daughter, on the phone and stuff like that at the end. And I said, well, you realize you just watched him like kill 3 other, kids in a school. And he was like this crazy lunatic who's like killing kids now. Right. So the fact that you could like draw back and start to feel for him in a different way now, like emotionally feel like, hey, he's human. And I can really, it's touching my heart that he's calling his daughter and having this conversation and stuff with her, like not only shows, how great the placement was of that with the writer, but also with Brian as an actor. You know what I mean? Because that was a point in the movie where like, if he didn't really sell that, you wouldn't feel it. You would be like, this dude is a lunatic. Who cares? Right. So the fact that, he made that call, and, I study a lot when it comes to actors, and with Brian, he's just super intense when he gets into something, and a character like that, he's, I'll watch him in the hallways sometimes when we were filming, and he'd just kind of go off on his own and like really think about how he's going to like, portray himself on camera. And with, acting, it's not just about the lines. It's about his facial expressions. It's about the way he breathes. It's about, the timing between like his breaths and the things that he says and the little twitches and the things that he does, And so in that moment too, when he was talking to his daughter on the phone, you could see that. You could see it in his body language. You could see it from the way that he like took a breath and like, took a moment to like hit the end button. And and hang up. And then, like you said, when he snaps and like turns and it's like all of a sudden he hears something. And now he goes from like this emotional guy who's really thinking about like he wants, you know, he just wants the best for his family and his daughter to, oh shit, like now I've got to go like find out where this girl is. She might still be here. So I think, you know, that really shows Brian in a whole different aspect when it comes to his acting and his professionalism. So
Yeah,
and he killed that role.
It's like a freaking range in 30 seconds, which I don't know, like Brian, I don't know if anyone else could have done that, because to bring someone's humanity back, like Nick saying, after watching this guy kill kids and he's calling his own kids, it could come off like, oh, well, screw you. Why should you talk to your kid? You're killing all these, you know, but it doesn't at all. Like it just comes off
Good.
Like you just forget. It's literally like you forget everything he just did. I don't know if anyone else could have done that other than you.
For sure. I don't want to act like I did something that nobody else can do.
No, but I do think that.
But thank you.
We watch a lot of movies, and I don't think anyone could have pulled off that fast, because it's such a fast scene. Your emotion changes, I think, 3 times, right? Like before he makes the phone call, you're thinking one thing, during the call, and then after the call. It's not a long scene, and the 3 emotions change so fast. And Nick, the way that it's directed was beautiful. To have him sitting there alone, you don't know she's there, you don't see anything, it's just on him, it's just with the family. So that the way it was filmed too was just amazing.
I think a lot of things happen with this film too that, you know, obviously we haven't shared with people, but a lot of craziness happened during filming and having to change locations and all different types of things that happen. I just feel like, you know, every now and then as creatives, like we really try to put our best work up and do the best that we can on everything that we do. But I feel like this film was one of those ones where the stars just kind of aligned, and, you know, Brian was the right person for that character. You know, we ended up switching schools from the original school. I feel like the school we shot this in was way better than the original school. I mean, there's just so many things that happened with this, and I really feel like that it just all kind of came together. Timing was right. So hopefully audience feels the same way when they see it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with the phone call scene, I agree. Like it was crazy because you see this guy killing all these people, and then all of a sudden he's just talking to his kid, and you're like, oh, I want to hate this guy, but I can't. And you just did such an incredible job. Like,
thank you.
Killed it.
I think it was really important to find something endearing in this guy. It was, you know, to go out on a note. I really, they ended up with the title change in Last of the Night, and they marketed the whole thing as much more of like a thriller and whatever, but that wasn't going into it. That wasn't necessarily the intention. The film was always much more of a psychological thriller. And I think, you know, part of that is telling a story and not necessarily telling people who they should root for. So it's like, I love that you root for him in the beginning, and then all of a sudden shit hits the wall, and then you're fucking rooting for the kids. And then he's back on the desk having that scene, and then you're kind of rooting for him again. And then when you finally get out to the football field, you're like, I don't know who to fucking root for at this point. Like, I'm so confused because I get her point, but fuck, he's a normal fucking guy. He's done some shitty things tonight, but fuck, I don't know whose side to choose. Yeah. I'm torn on the whole thing. And I personally enjoy that in film.
All right. So you guys mentioned you're working together. Anything you could say? Or it's secret?
No, just
like, what's next for you? Come on.
It's a period thing. Not period like, you know, 1920s. It's 1980s. This thing that we're working on. It's a true story. Something that actually occurred in Sacramento. So we're going to go back there, and we're going to shoot a lot of stuff there, but based on real people, which hence the mustache and growing my hair longer. And it's a whole thing.
You're going to have long hair, like a wig, like a whole.
Not long like that. It's not like hairband, not like, you know, or mullet or anything like that. Like it's, the guy that I'm playing he was a lead detective at the time on something that happened. So but it's the classic 80s hair. Like it's,
big mustache.
I have a feeling I know what this is, but I'm not going to say it. But I have a feeling I know what this is. Because Sacramento in the 80s, I have an idea of what this would be.
Okay.
But that is very exciting.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool story.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of fun doing it.
It's a crazy story. If it's what I'm thinking of, it's a freaking crazy story.
It's extremely crazy, but he's not
a really crazy story. Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm not the killer at all this time.
I'm so excited because the story is like insane, and so you'll be playing the detective. Like, okay, I won't go into it, but people could probably like look it up or whatever. But that's a crazy story.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
It'll come out soon.
No, it'll come out like next year.
Yeah, but the news will come out very soon.
The news will come out soon. Right.
Yeah.
Where can people go see this film? I know you guys had a premiere in LA, which I was super upset that I couldn't go. I really was hoping you'd have one in New York, but I know like logistics, money, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So where can people find it?
It's streaming. It's on most of the platforms. I think it's on iTunes. It's on like if you're still doing satellite, it's on DirecTV and Comcast and
Amazon Prime and all that stuff.
Amazon Prime.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
TV.
So that's where people can find it.
Yeah.
And then I always ask everybody, and like I know this is gonna be funny, but Nick, where can we follow you on social?
Easy. At Nick Leisure. At Nick Leisure on Instagram.
Brian, where can people follow you? And this is also my shout out.
Nick Leisure.
To be more active.
You follow Brian at Nick Leisure. Just saying. I think I post him more than he posts himself. So
I know. Well, that's what I was gonna say.
I'm feeling attacked right now. I don't know.
No, but you're feeling attacked because we love your content. Your content is great when you do it.
I think you
don't do that much.
I think people like my content because I rarely do. So they feel like they're getting a piece of something that I don't normally do when they do get something. I feel like if I started posting more, everybody would get fucking bored of me because I'm a pretty boring individual.
Like we're both like, no, not at all.
Definitely not.
But where can I follow you?
Okay. My handle is Brian Austin Green. I think that's the only one I have. So
I think so.
I used to have an underscore like aren't you that guy underscore thing, and then somebody gave me a hard time about that. They were like, yeah, just the underscores alone, nobody's going to be able to follow you because it's a pain.
I hate it when people do that. When you try to find somebody that you haven't seen in a while and their handles like X946 Jader or whatever, I'm like, I'm never going to find you.
So yes, my handle is aren't you that guy? But there was an underscore.
Really? It's like on Instagram right now?
It was.
Oh, I was like,
started on Instagram. And I had an underscore in between everything, only because people used to always come up to me and go, aren't you that guy? So I was like, oh, that's totally got to be my Instagram. I'll start posting more stuff then.
Yeah, do a little by little. Do a little by little, baby steps. Listen, we could give you pointers.
You guys have project coming up that you guys are working on together, which is awesome.
Yes.
And more leading roles for Brian. Like,
those are great goals.
It doesn't have to be me direct every time too. I think that Brian is should be up for a lot of leading roles now. So
I agree. I don't know why you.
I agree also.
I don't know why.
For all four of us unanimously.
Yes, we all agree. Thank you for listening to Silence on Set podcast. My name is Monica Gleiberman. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more interviews to come.